Do you keep your head in the sand like an ostrich when it comes to personal finance? When your spouse invites you to sit down and talk about the family finances, do you get all defensive and find all these reasons why not to do it? Oh, honey, gotta get to work, really busy. I'm driving the kids to birthday parties, can't talk now. I'm in the middle of cleaning the house, this is very important. Or even, I've got an appointment. I'm going to the dentist to have all my teeth pulled. Is that how much you hate talking about money? Don't you want to be confident about your finances? Because the strategy of keeping your head in the sand like an ostrich is not a good one, especially if a curveball comes and hits your life. The results could be devastating to you financially, emotionally, and physically. The reason I know this is because I work with women who have had curveballs hit their life. A diagnosis, a death, a divorce. There are so many curveballs out there. And I'm telling you this because this is what I do. I empower women with their finances to come at their finances and money from a place of knowledge rather than ignorance, habit, or fear. My name is Paula Harris. I'm a financial advisor, an author, a speaker, a coach. And today, I want to talk to you about moving from avoidance to action by taking 5 action steps to move forward with your finances. And we're also going to talk about 1 mistake that you want to avoid. So grab a pen and a piece of paper because I want you to write down action steps for yourself. Because when you make that mind-body connection of hearing something and writing it down, you will embrace it all the more. But first I want to tell you a story. It happened about 3 years ago. It was in the early parts of the pandemic. And my phone rang one day. It was a number that I didn't recognize. And I usually do not answer those phone calls. But something just kind of urged me to take this call. Hello, Paula Harris speaking. Hi, this is Sally Smith. I'm not sure if you remember me, but I'm Tom and Jane's daughter. And my dad, he left for work this morning and he collapsed on the sidewalk and he's dead. And my mom, she really needs your help. What a sucker punch to get a call like that. They were not only clients, they were friends. We were going out to dinner in just 2 nights. But we needed to move into action to see how we could best support Jane. Luckily, her daughter Sally, her adult daughter, she was right there to help her mom all along the way. There was so much to figure out. But the number 1 issue that needed to be solved was, where do I get money to live? So you see, Tom's paycheck went into a bank account that he was the single owner of. She had no ability to access that account with him being deceased. And not only that, that account held the money for the tuition payments for the final year of college for their son. She needed to have access to credit. The credit card was in his name, so she could no longer use it, or that'd be fraudulence if she did. So she had to establish credit in her name, and she applied. And because she was more of a traditional stay-at-home spouse raising the kids, she didn't have an income and a job. So she got a $300 limit. Not enough to charge gas and groceries on the same day. We helped her figure out where she was going to get immediate cash. So we looked at the brokerage account, sold what we needed to sell, got her money. Next, we helped her apply for the life insurance that they had on him and get that check in as soon as possible. And the good news is that was payable to her, so that was money in the bank for her. but his final paycheck came made out to the estate of, and they didn't have an estate plan in place. So she could not cash that check. And guess what? Probate process is slow and dragged out and expensive. And then you have a pandemic on top of it, and you're doing everything via Zoom. So the court system is even slower than it was before. So it took time to retitle assets. You know, you've got to deal with the cars, the boats. What do you dispose of? What do you keep? You know, and helping her mentally figure out, how does she want to live life on her terms now? There's so many things to get taken care of. She's in a much better space today, which is where I invite you to be if a curveball were to hit your life. So now I want to share with you 5 things. Number 1, know your vital statistics. Just like when you go to the doctor and your doctor takes your blood pressure, weighs you, your height, you know, takes blood, you want to know what your baseline is. Where is your money? What are your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts? How much is in those accounts? How much, you know, what are the balances? What are your assets? Your home, your cars, your others are expensive jewelry or artwork. What are your liabilities? Do you still have a mortgage on the house, a home equity line, credit card debt, car loans, student loans? What do you owe people? And then you got to figure out, where are all the documents? Get them in one place. Your marriage certificates, your mortgage title, your birth certificates. You want to make sure if there was military discharge papers, you got to have them all in one place. Such an important thing. Number 2, you want to make sure that you have credit in your own name. A credit card is issued to one person. Despite the fact that 2 or more people may have their names on cards, it's only owned by that one person. So you want to establish credit in your name as soon as you can. If you're someone who's working and you have an income, great, your credit limit's going to be high. But if you're more of a traditional spouse and you don't, it's going to be low. It's going to take time to build up that credit. So you want to get that taken care of right now. So make sure you know who is the primary owner of any credit cards that you have. The third thing I want to talk about is your bank accounts and how they're owned. Are they owned singularly or are they owned jointly? And if there's a reason you have to keep it singularly, okay, but I want to make sure that both singular and joint accounts have something called TOD or POD on the account. And that will be determined by the institution that you work with. A TOD is a transfer on death. A POD is a payable on death. Basically, if something were to happen to you or your spouse, those monies go transferred to the person or persons that are named. Very important. You want to make sure you have access to your money. The fourth thing I want to talk about is beneficiaries and the importance of having beneficiaries named. You have retirement accounts such as 401ks, 403bs, IRAs. You get to name a person who's going to get that account, those monies. That goes by contract law outside of any probate situations. Get those named now and check them once or twice a year. We say change your clock, change your batteries, check your beneficiaries. You also want to make sure they're updated on insurance policies like your life insurance. These are very important. We've seen many times where these are not properly named and it causes a world of hurt. The fifth thing I invite you to think about and consider is having your own personal board of advisors that you're active with. Who does your taxes? CPA, tax preparer, enrolled agent. Do you know them? Have you talked to them? Do you have a financial planner who's a fiduciary acting on your best behalf in your life? Meet with them regularly. Do you know your banker at the local bank and the tellers so that if you go in, they know you and you can get help as quick as possible? Also, do you have a doctor? You don't want to find one when you're sick. Do you have a clergy or minister in your life, someone that you can turn to for spiritual direction? Do you have a therapist or a life coach, someone who can mentor and guide you when you need some advice. So I just shared those 5 tips with you. And now I want to tell you the one mistake that you want to avoid. Do not have an estate plan. You need to have an estate plan, because if you don't, the government will have a pecking order of how your assets will go. And you don't want to go through the probate process. It's long, it's expensive, and it's public knowledge. You want to make sure you have your trust and your will in place, your healthcare proxy named, and your durable power of attorney named. Because if something were to happen to you or your spouse, you can then enact on their behalf, or other named people can act on your behalf. And that is so important. Now, I've given you a lot of information today, and I invite you to continue to have a conversation and join the group. We have a community where we send out a wonderful newsletter, and you can get information about that in the description above. Also, join us on our Facebook community at WH Cornerstone Investments. Take action today and empower your tomorrow.